All right. Hello, everyone. It's November 18th, 2021, and this is the weekly Backdrop developer meeting. We get together every week to talk about priorities and the latest things happening in the Backdrop world. Before we get started, we'll do some introductions. My name is Nate Lampton. I'm Quick Sketch on the internet, and I'm in Oakland, California. Jen, can you give an introduction?
Sure. My name is Jen Lampton, joining from Oakland, California. Let's see, this week I'm looking forward to getting out our security release. That's it for me, I guess. Greg?
Hi, I'm Greg. Interested in Backdrop in general and any way that I can help. Trying to get my head around how I can start on the next feature I'm working for the 121 release. And yeah, trying to sort out some blockers. Olaf? You're muted, Olaf. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, I was muted. I'm Olaf Grabienski from Hamburg, and I am checking in after a longer time, and nothing special. I'm just upgrading yet another Drupal 7 site to Backdrop, which is interesting. Next, Phil.
Hi, Phil out of Wichita, Kansas. I don't really have much to contribute on the dev side of things, but just kind of here to be a fly on the wall and see what discussion happens. Yeah, let's go with Robert.
I'm Robert Lang, code folder on the internet, coming to you from Altadena, California. Lately, I've been working on Contrib modules, so not so much on core, but still want to keep my finger on the pulse of core. So here I am. Did you, Greg?
Yeah, I think that's everyone. Except
Andy
Duckwellmont just joined us. Andy, we're just doing introductions. If you want to give an intro, feel free. If not, we'll just move on. You're unmuted, but I think that no sound.
Yeah.
Hello?
Hey, there we go.
Yes.
Hi.
Oh, sorry, I just signed in. I didn't realize you were waiting for me. Sorry. Am I introducing myself, I suspect?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, Andy Duckwellmont from the Cayman Islands. Long time haven't been in these meetings. Looking forward to contributing for a change. That's it.
Awesome. Welcome, Andy. All right. Yeah, we got off to a really late start, so it's probably a surprise to you that we're still doing introductions. Yeah, this won't be a very long meeting. Let's see. Jen, do you want to do the community section? It's populated in the agenda.
Oh, I hadn't looked at it yet.
I can do it if you want.
Sure.
Okay. All right. Welcome, Albany Computers. That's Steve Morehouse. We know him from Backdrop Live fame. He's our resident video wizard. He's applied to the Contrib queue and has ported the Views Grid Repeat module. Thanks and welcome. Not that it's really welcome, but welcome, Steve, to the Contrib group. And thanks, Gregory, for being our moderator there and keeping an eye on those requests. You kind of walked Steve through the process, and that's really excellent to grow our community. Let's see, we also have 4 new Contrib projects that were released this week: Views JSON, Index Now, repeating dates, and Uber Cart feeds. So that's very exciting. 4 new Contrib modules, all just in the last 7 days.
Can I just interrupt and say thank you, Indigo Zella, for taking over Views Jason. I really appreciate help on that. So.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, that Views JSON, what did it just not have an official release or something? That seems odd.
Yeah, I created it a long time ago, I think, for the survey website to pull in. I don't know. I don't remember what I created it for, but we used it somewhere and I never made a release. And Zella noticed that it wasn't out and took it over and finished it. So
Excellent.
much appreciated.
Yeah, that's actually what powers the news feed on the dashboard. So backdropcms.org runs it. Okay, well, that's kind of it for the Contrib updates. Let's see. I don't think that we have specific topics for the. That's funny for the next release. Unless anybody has anything that they brought. Anybody have any things in specific today? Okay, I'd like to get back in the habit of using the forum post. I thought that that was really effective while we were doing it to solicit like ideas throughout the week.
It's there. There's just no comments on it.
Okay. Thank you.
I have,
And
I
I
haven't
did.
sorry, go ahead.
I did set up using scheduler module to automatically publish a new post every week until January 1st. So it will continue to be there if people want to use it. But I think maybe without the activity being like, hey, someone go make a new forum post, it's not getting as much attention as it did before. So maybe the scheduler wasn't the greatest idea.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, let's see. Other than that, the big topic of conversation right now is that we're in the midst of cutting a new minor release or new bug fix release, like right now, actually. Laren is working asynchronously with those of us on the call and has already cut the tag for the next version of Backdrop, which will be 1.20.2. And this is a security release, so there's also going to be, let's see, what is it, a 119.5 release that will come out today as well. It's not a big security fix, it's just an update to CK Editor. CK Editor released a security update yesterday, and we're just keeping pace to get out that release. We tried to have it out yesterday, but everything came out kind of late in the day yesterday, and then we didn't have the time to get our code tested and pushed out. So sorry, this is a little bit out of the ordinary to publish a security release on Thursday, but it'll be out shortly. Let's see. So that's the big thing. I also, just as an aside, a nice thing about the new version of CK Editor, they, since it kind of plays on the accessibility conversation from the last meeting, they fixed some of the keyboard shortcuts so that now when you're editing an image, you can get after the image and add a new line of text, or get out of the image to get in between two images that are next to each other. That always drove me nuts, that it was really difficult to get outside of editing an image to get the cursor to place immediately before or after an image. And now there's just some keyboard shortcuts where you can hit Shift Enter to like get outside of the image to add a new line afterwards. So I was really happy to see those accessibility improvements to CK Editor itself, and that's in the new version that will be in 1.20.2. Okay, let's see. The other item that we've got in the immediate horizon for 1.20.2 is, or sorry, this will actually be 1.20.3, is we're still working on adding automated coding standards, PHP-CS checks within GitHub to make it so that as pull requests are filed, they'll get automatically linted for coding standards. That issue is 5245. The agreement that we're kind of coming to in that issue, Indigo Zell laid out 3 different options for how we could proceed. We could either use the old version of PHP-CS, which we have coding standards for already. We could make a new repository that doesn't have any coding standards in it yet, except for bare bones minimal stuff that uses the latest version of PHP-CS. Or we could work on porting all of the PHP-CS rules to the new version, but that could take some time. And in the queue, Indigo Zell leans more towards 1 or 2 because we can get those things done much more quickly. BW Panda and myself also lean towards option number 2 of just having minimal coding standards checks that use the latest version, so we don't have to be running something that's old and not supported, and then iteratively like adding more coding standards as we can. So hopefully that will get that issue moving forward, because even just like the bare bones minimum stuff of tabs versus spaces would be like just a huge win. Let's see. It would be nice to go over what else is in 1.20.2, but we don't have those quite assembled yet. 1 second. Stand by. Milestone. Okay. Here we go. 1.20.2 looks like it contains 21 fixed issues, including the update to CK Editor 4.17.1. Let's see, lots of bug fixes, a couple of PHP 8 compatibility items, 3 items there. We fixed the last lingering random failures. Oh, and we included that the major performance improvement on the modules page. That's really exciting, which is funny because our modules page already loads pretty quickly, but compared to some other CMS competitors, but now it loads really quickly. So that's very exciting. We had been doing like a full directory scan, I think, on every module in the site. So the more modules you had, it was like the number of modules squared because it was doing a full directory scan and there were more directories. And now we're only doing one directory scan for the entire modules page. So much better improvement on that page now. Phil, I saw you unmuted. Is there anything you wanted to add there?
The views backport. Did you mention that? That one in this one?
There's a.
The
Yes,
thing
it is, but I'm not sure which one you're talking about. There's actually 4 views issues. It looks like 5 views issues.
the one that allows you to clone a display as a different type of display.
Oh yeah, can you elaborate on that?
That one's awesome. Go ahead, Greg.
Yeah, so say you had a page and you wanted to clone that as a block. There was no way to actually do it, so you would have to rebuild the thing from scratch. So it was a big UX move for the people that actually need it. So it was a pretty simple change as well. So yeah.
Okay, excellent. Robert, is there something you want to add to? Okay, sorry.
I wanted to add something. We also included the flexible layouts UI change that makes it look more like the other managed blocks page.
Oh, right. Yeah, it's been kind of a while, I guess, since 1.20.1 came out. So there's actually a good chunk of fixes in here. Okay. Well, I don't think I have anything else for the next bug fix release that we really want to prioritize. So we can go ahead and start talking about the next minor version, 1.21. That will be coming out early next year, January 15th. And we have a small number of tickets so far that are already slated that are kind of underway. Let's see, there's the issue to add CSS classes to the flexible layout templates. I think that there's no official advocate, but HerbDuel is the person that is pushing this one forward. Might also overlap a little bit with Jen because I know she's working on the flexible layout templates for other things. So, but it's an enhancement that just lets you add classes to your regions when you're building a custom layout, which seems like it would be extremely helpful for people that are using the custom layout builder. That issue is 5044. Currently, it needs some more reviewing and feedback, but it also is slated as it needs a little bit of work. So it's ready to be tested, and more feedback can be given, even if it still needs a little work. Okay, let's see. Next up is a simple enhancement issue 1975. Allow display settings, add display settings for the book navigation. Books put things like the previous page, next page, up to the parent chapter links, and this issue at 1976 makes it so that the book navigation can be moved above and below other fields on the node page. That issue currently has a pull request and just needs review. All right, we've got providing a new hidden path content type out of the box, issue 4903. Let's see. Tim is the advocate for this one. I wish he was still online for it, but there's been a lot of conversation about this one because it's adding a new content type called card, and then it also starts impacting the display of the home page to use these new cards. I see that actually a lot of people on this call have been participating in that issue. Jen, Greg, and Phil. Is there any? Can one of you summarize the state of that issue?
Sorry, which issue was that? Sorry, I phased out. Sorry.
The hidden path content type, the card content type, and what impacts it has.
Yeah. So do you want me to quickly summarize why we're trying to add it, or where we're at, or both?
Why don't you do both?
So Tim is doing most of the work, so we're trying to see what would be a better fit. So the goal is to have something in core that actually showcases the pageless nodes in a way that people understand them. But from the mockups and the tests that we've been doing, we also thought that it would provide the default out of the box experience with some more content that makes the site look like a site. So that's a happy side effect of the work that we've been doing. Now we're sort of like, we're not stuck, like we know how to go forward from that. It's just that we need to make some decisions, what to call these things, what's the best implementation. Yeah, I have very high confidence that this will get in for 121. We just need to iron out details, I guess.
Yeah, that is, since I haven't read over it, this is probably something that's already been brought up, but the mock-ups I've seen put 3 cards on the homepage, a very typical, like, hey, here's 3 pieces of content that you might see like in like a recommended content or see more or something like that. A very common use case. Are we planning on doing those 3 cards as like as a view? In which case it would be a single column, even though there's 3 cards in it, or 3 columns somehow like manually placed in there, which would also be possible out of the box.
Yeah, so we're doing it as a view for now, and I think it's using grid, something like that, CSS grid thing. So, yeah.
Got it. Yeah, totally reasonable approach.
Although at some point I was sort of like conflicting and saying, we want to showcase how you add these things as a group, but we already can add, like, why would we showcase pageless nodes as part of views when we can do that with non-pageless, like with actual normal nodes? But having them be in at the homepage, and actually the content, the text content of each card basically explains what this feature is. So it might be mockup, but it's also useful.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, it sounds great. I'm guessing that those things probably won't link anywhere at this point because obviously they don't have pages, right?
Actually, the titles of the nodes are linking to the nodes, but because they're pageless nodes, if you're a person that doesn't have the permission to view pageless nodes, you get a 404, but that's something that we can sort out. Basically, right. Don't render the titles as links. That's the solution. So yeah.
What are we stuck on right now though? Is it just what to name the things?
I don't think it's stuck. Like, we need to get the job done, and just what to name is cards a good name? So yeah, details. Yeah. I wouldn't call it stuck. Like, it's not blockers. It's just we need to make a decision.
I think that's what stuff means.
No.
I've been trying to decide the name for months now. I think we're stuck on the name.
Yeah, there's a more serious situation of stuck, like in my head, which is like no way to go forward because it's like there's no solution. So we have multiple solutions. We just need to decide, or suggestions, and we need to decide which one to go with. So yeah.
Yeah, but whether we call it stuck or not, is it the name that's holding us back? Is that the
name and the content of the cards and the styling, I guess, and also the thing that I mentioned with titles. So it's basically Tim finding some time to work on the feedback that we provided.
Card. I mean, card seems like that would be relatively uncontentious, don't you think?
That's what we thought with layouts and layout templates, but
Andy,
oh, go ahead.
Andy, I think we're stuck, sort of stuck in so that Tim has to polish his PR a bit so that we then have a good basis for the rest of the discussion. Because I have, for example, some ideas, but as long as the PR is not really ready, it doesn't make sense to discuss it, in my opinion. So, and he has said that he is wants to work on it. So I'm waiting for this.
Okay, that's reasonable.
Nate, you're muted.
All right, next up we've got Telemetry Module. We have some follow-up items from that. Telemetry Module is in the 1.20 release of Backdrop. There's a couple dozen Backdrop sites that are reporting data back to backdropcms.org, which is great to see that information coming in. But right now it's a purely opt-in system where it's in Backdrop sites, but you have to turn it on, and even new existing sites don't have it turned on. And the issue 5253 is the issue to discuss how we can get that site, or how we can get telemetry turned on new sites. So yeah, that issue is really just kind of getting started. It's actually this is kind of still a little bit unclear as to the way in which we managed to do this. I think last meeting we had discussed that that this is actually kind of like a policy problem that the PMC should probably discuss about opt-in versus opt-out settings just in general, because it would apply to multiple things. I don't think that Tim was the one that suggested that we take it to the PMC last meeting, and I'm not sure if he did quite yet, but yeah, it seems like that's a good example of something that should be decided centrally.
I think I opened an issue and I think Greg already weighed in on it. So there's been a little conversation there so far.
Excellent. Okay. Let's see. And lastly, I haven't put myself down as an advocate for this one. I'm already really trying to prioritize automatic updates and a lot of the work that has been started but not finished there. Things like the code signing work and the pre-flight checks. Like there's lots of things in automatic updates that I've been kind of hoping to move forward. But another issue that is weighing on me right now is issue 4122, which is the CK editor issue, CK editor 5. And the next step there is making a Contrib module probably for CK editor 5 that would be slated as like a core target module so that we can do the development in Contrib, do all the testing there, and then when it seems ready to move past proof of concept, we can consider putting it into core, and then maybe optional first, tell people maybe they should upgrade, and then maybe out of box enabled later, replacing the current CK editor module, which would be kind of slated just for CK editor 4. The new one will be just CK editor 5 because they require different integration plugins for each version. So we may have a transitionary period where we have both enabled at the same time. I don't think everybody was here last meeting where it mentioned that in the past, like CK editor 5 had this giant red flag for us that it wasn't content compatible with previous content. So if you edited content from before you started using CK editor 5, it might literally remove or delete content out of your text area. So just by hitting edit, not doing anything, and then hitting save, CK editor might actually wipe out some of the previous content there if it didn't match the markup standards that it requires. But the new version of CK, or they've now done some work to make a plugin where if CK editor encounters incompatible HTML with its new DOM structure, that it just locks that content and makes it non-editable except through like the source mode. So it's not perfect, but it's certainly a lot better than destroying data. And that makes life much easier, much more realistic for us to continue using CK Editor in CK Editor 5 and higher. And that's kind of where we are. And oh, go
just a
ahead.
question though. It's possible now for us to, well, I guess it's always possible, but it would be reasonably simple or doable for us to actually have an upgrade to CK Editor 5?
Yes, I think so. The upgrade itself would be what I'm envisioning, at least, is that the upgrade would really just be if you switch on CK Editor 5, it copies your CK Editor 4 text format configuration, so the toolbar configuration, and matches the toolbar setup.
Right.
But other than that, like that would be it. Like it really is just like turning on a different editor per text format and copying your toolbar configuration. And then when you go to edit your content, I wasn't planning on doing any kind of like bulk update of all of your content. Instead, CK Editor 5, just when it encountered some old content, it may or may not, depending on the formatting of your content, have certain sections that are not editable within the editor. It shows them to you, but you might need to hit source mode to like change that section, reformat it, and then switch it back. We'll see. I'm not exact. I haven't actually seen this in action yet, so this is a lot of theory talking right now.
Right. But is there any absolute need in terms of security or otherwise for us to move to CK Editor 5?
Yeah, CK Editor. Well, CK Editor 4 will reach an end of life. I think not in 2022, but in 2023. So there's not a big hurry, but we obviously need to move to something ultimately because it won't last forever.
Nate, because you mentioned this locking of old content that is not compatible in the previous meeting, would it be reasonable or too much overhead to actually ship with both libraries and see how when you choose a format, it tells you which editor to use? So basically, could we allow old content to be edited via the CK Editor 4 and then also provide new installations just with CK Editor 5, and then at some point in 2023, when like Backdrop 2.0, we just remove CK Editor 4 altogether. Would that be an acceptable thing, or just you think too messy and too complicated?
No, I mean that would completely work if you wanted to have two text formats, one for 4 and one for 5, and you could switch between them. They could even be configured exactly the same, and you would just be literally toggling it on and off. However, I don't think that we could necessarily say this is what all sites will get, that will turn on a second text format for every existing text format. I think that that would be a really good option for site owners to use to like set up a second text format, but I'm not sure that we would provide that as an automatic, like all sites now have double the text formats, you know? Yeah. But that would totally be a legitimate way of doing a conversion over a long period of time if you were a site owner.
Yeah, and since we're not releasing Backdrop 2.0 up until 2025, then maybe from the moment that CK Editor 4 becomes end of life until then, it's a matter of the site administrator's sort of like choice, and then we remove it completely from like as unsupported or something like that.
Yep, basically exactly that. We deprecate CK Editor 4. Out of box, new installs will ship with CK Editor 5 because there's no existing content to worry about. And we encourage people to move off of 4 and onto 5. We might start putting status report messages in there, saying, hey, you got to get off of 4, that sort of thing. Yeah.
I'm going to vote that if you find the time, Nate, if you had to pick one of the two things to deal with, I would prefer that you dealt with the CK Editor one rather than the automatic upgrades. I think that sounds more urgent to me.
Yeah, it definitely impacts the everyday users, because literally nothing is more important in the backdrop interface than the content creation and editing screen. Like that is the number one thing that people use the CMS for, is content entry. So
Yeah.
yeah.
That, and
Sooner-
apart from that, the fact that I'm pretty sure, speaking for myself, but I'm sure most of us, at least in this meeting, will agree that the jQuery and JavaScript and CK editor stuff is worse than Greek. Sorry, Greg, to the rest of us. I have no clue what it's doing half the time. So I don't think many of us could really tackle that apart from you, really.
Well, we'll
Yeah.
see. Greg, are you gonna say that Greek's not that hard?
Like if you want to, it's sort of like a, what you call a tidbit is that in Greece we don't say it sounds Greek to us, it sounds Chinese to us, but yeah, whatever. So
That's funny. I wouldn't have thought that would have any analog, but
yeah, that's the equivalent expression. But yeah, other than that, what I wanted to say is that the sooner we get CK Editor 5 in, the less sites will have to worry about moving. So the new installations will start off with CK Editor 5, so it would be less of a problem. The whole migration will move, whatever.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Well,
I agree with Andy that it's more important, in other words.
Well, I hate to have this meeting run too short, but I've got to end the meeting. We're at the top of the hour already.
Can I ask one quick
Some
question?
more meetings happening. Yeah, go ahead, Robert.
Really quick, and it's probably a reminder to everyone else, but new, I don't know. How far along does a PR have to be to go get into the milestone? Or a minor release milestone? I was looking at the docs page for it, but it wasn't clear.
It doesn't have to be anywhere at all. It just has to have someone advocate for it.
So if I've got a PR that I want to get in and I label myself the advocate, I can throw it in the milestone?
I wanted to bring up maybe we can discuss this in the next dev meeting. I wanted to bring up something very similar. So I started writing tests for a very small PR, and the tests ended up being like 80% of the work. So I wanted to switch the issue to needs review, but then Indigo Zella was setting it back to needs work because the tests were not passing, whereas I wanted feedback on the current implementation. So I want us at some point to discuss what is the appropriate workflow and which labels we use in order to invite people to actually review the code, even though tests are not passing, because we need like feedback on how to move forward. So yeah,
Robert, I think as long as a second person agrees that that should be in the milestone, you can add it. So usually one person will add milestone candidate and another person marks it as in the milestone. As long as it has an advocate, that's all it needs. Doesn't need a board.
So I can mark it as a milestone candidate, and then I go beat on someone or twist their arm or bribe them to put it in.
Yep, that's right.
Cool.
And Greg, definitely put that down maybe in the forum post for next week, because I think we could use more labels or something for that if needed.
Isn't there the needs feedback label? Isn't that
but
what we're talking
I was
about?
using the needs feedback for the implementation, not the actual code. Like I needed some code review for people to just say, yes, you're doing this right or wrong, or maybe I have questions about my implementation, my code implementation, not the technical solution, which is what I think the needs feedback was for. So I thought that we had the needs feedback for, what should I call this? Like the cards name for the thing that we were discussing before. That's when I set an issue to needs feedback. If I need feedback on to name things, if I need someone to review my code and give me feedback on the code, I used to say needs review.
Correct.
But yeah, we can discuss this because it's gonna take longer. We're over time as well. So
okay.
No
All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining the meeting. It was short and sweet. Thank you everybody, and we'll catch you guys all online, and we'll probably see the release of 120.2 within the next hour or two. The tag is already cut. We just need to push the release, so that'll be exciting. Hot off the presses.
I could use eyes on the release notes and the security advisory if someone wants to just look at those and make sure they look okay.
Okay. Well, I'll wrap it all up and end the meeting. Thank you guys all once again, and talk to you guys.